So you did a panel discussion today, or was it yesterday?
Yesterday, yesterday.
Sorry. Blurs together.
Exactly.
So how did that go? Like, what was any good questions? Anything good come out of that? How did that play
It was
out?
good because it hits people right where they live in this industry, right? There's almost nobody that's been in the industry for any period of time that hasn't run into that overly aggressive non-compete agreement or crazy levels of NDA that everything's a trade secret, including your name, and or just straight up like lost out on intellectual property rights and stuff like that. I wrote this, and no, it's ours now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had that problem. So coming from like West Point, so I did a bunch of research in there, and then it's like you do all this cool stuff, and then the Army's like, oh, that's ours.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then they're like, we might put your name on it. I had one where they were just like, we're just actually going to give it to Raytheon, and they're going to develop it.
Right,
it's like,
exactly.
Oh, cool, thanks, guys. So yeah, I feel that pain.
Yeah.
Did you walk the show floor yesterday?
I did.
Anything stick out? Any buzzwords this year?
I like to go to the little boost first. Like, I don't need to hear from the big guys, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always like skirting the edge in the back of the room, looking for like the next really cool idea, right? Because let's face it, that's not. I don't want to. But that's not going to come from HP, right? Like this is not going to be their thing, right?
They're going to acquire that company.
Exactly.
At some point. Yeah.
So that's always what I do at these trade shows is all the little guys and stuff like that. And then they stopped and yelled at a couple of my vendors that we have technical problems with right now, and got free T-shirts out of them, and and they I in general it's almost overwhelming, right? I mean, it's gotten so big compared to what it used to look like and stuff like that.
I think one of the last conferences I went to back when I was undergrad was ShmooCon, and that was 2006, 2007, and I remember there was just one room.
Right.
It was just a room with a bunch of chairs and a speaker, and that was it. Like, I think there was like tables out front for like the three vendors.
Right, like a couple card tables and I want to get back to that. I want to get back to like content and community. Right. This is whatever it is, but it's easy to get lost in all this.
Oh yeah, I think it's overwhelming too. But this is like your first like conference, like walking in to the doors, and then you got the certain vendors that are like standing up on a podium, like the blender salesman, at the grocery store, running stuff, trying to
get a $25 Starbucks card if you sit here and listen to my pitch, and
I have seen a certain trend that I hope continues is some of these bigger booths now have just a bunch of workstations set up to where you can actually go and use and play with the software, which is interesting, as opposed to the giant video wall. Here, let me show you this video demo. So I hope that kind of continues.
I'm a big fan of that, like one-on-one demo with a tech guy that standing right next to you going, oh, like this, and you like push that thing, and he goes,
and you actually can click
exactly.
and see. Because sometimes the video is great from a technical perspective.
Right, because it doesn't die, but
because we have that problem here is because, we got internet because we're trying to show the live site and things like that. It's like, how do you plan if the internet goes down and stuff like that?
I did that with some dark web content vendors here, trying to determine the quality of their data sets, basically. And I was like, no, just put my stuff in. And they were like, it'll show up on the screen. I'm like I care. Like, just do it. It's me.
I do that. We're looking at a new like Discover.org competitor Clearbit. And they were like trying to show me some sample data, and I was like, no, just type in my name. And then or like type in Cybrary, and it's like, oh, you have over 200 employees, and I was like, oh, no, we don't. And then then they're like, just the guy I got to get with my tech team and see why it's showing that. So, all right, so you do a lot of forensics and stuff like that, like breach.
I do forensics in support of civil litigation, a lot of criminal litigation cases. We do a lot of defense work there. And then we do just a nonstop amount of data breaches. Again, mostly with law firms or insurance companies, right? Because that's kind of the trend nowadays is attorney-client privilege to keep everything under wraps and an insurer behind it paying for everything. So that's really our main three things. And then we do a lot of courtroom testimonies, a lot of expert witness stuff and things like that, which of course, just not so much on the breach side, but a lot of the rest of the litigation stuff.
Any trends you're seeing in the industry that'd be helpful for CISOs, CIOs, things like that to watch out for?
The big ones right now are the same breach methods that everybody knows, right? It's coming through your email that you really got to get your hands around. unfortunately, a lot of my clients still just don't have logs. I mean, I wish that was not the not the reality of it.
You would think everybody had logs with the number of SIM vendors
I know.
that are
There's
here.
so many SIM vendors, and I talk to these guys, and they're like, "Oh yeah, of course." I'm like, "Yeah, but nobody bought that thing,
Yeah.
or it's so expensive they can't get coverage on everything that they've got,
But Elasticsearch, it's open source.
I know, but there's a cost to that, right? It's open source, but you're going to put a bunch of time into making that happen,
True.
and that's the big problem. There always is, right? Is you got 400 end users, you got a dev team, you got 2 data centers and a DR site, and you got 2.5 IT guys helping you out, right? I mean, that's a real client. That was a real client I just described there.
Yeah.
Where they can't take on an Elasticsearch, let's build it ourselves sort of thing, which, ElkStack's great. I mean, if you got the people to...
Well, I think the only thing that saves me is Elastic's hosted solution now.
Yeah.
Because previous company, we ran a UEBA vendor, and that stuff was backed by Elasticsearch, and maintaining Elasticsearch clusters is like the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Especially pre-version 4 and all that kind of stuff where, split brain and all these other crazy different things that can happen.
And we're really talking to a lot of our clients about look, I know you don't have the staff for this, but there's starting to be some really decent MSP and MSSP support out there. Not all of them, mind you, but between a few breaches at some MSPs. But there's starting to be some really credible companies out there that have a product and they're actually doing the remote management for you, and that can be a real benefit.
Interesting.
I guess the one weird kind of new thing that we're dealing with is breaches around Kubernetes and stuff like that.
Oh, we're already seeing those.
And we're popping those things up so fast and all over the place because, from a management standpoint and stuff like that, fantastic. You start doing forensics on that, it's a nightmare. So I've been talking to a couple of the newer companies around here that are just starting to get into that, actual real aggressive monitoring of what's going on there and processes and storage and all that related stuff. But I think that's,
that's a
in the next
challenging
couple.
problem.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know if you've talked to StackRox.
No, I haven't.
They're ex agency guys.
Okay.
They were originally doing that like an IDS IPS for Kubernetes, but I think they've shifted to more of like an audit. Like they look at all your firewall rules, all your routing rules. They look at all of that type of thing, and then give you basically analysis. And then they're also kind of doing some live container stuff. So
we're trying to get real instrumentation and controls on the container.
Like if a new process spins up.
Exactly.
Although that's hard because we use a certain web firewall and stuff, and then we bake it in all the way down to our lowest level in Kubernetes. And it's interesting how there's still that big split on should a container only have one process or should it have two, and trying to take running a web proxy and then a WAF on top of that, trying to get it all in separate containers but still talk with shared volumes. That was the bane of my existence for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the easy solution is we'll just run 2 processes in one container, and I'm like, well, that's not the purpose of containers. We're kind of taking steps back and stuff. So
and so many folks are just like, let's just do it live, right? Let's throw it up there, and you're like, okay, well, how'd that turn out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were doing a lot of that stuff. At least staging environments. It's nice. I enjoy Kubernetes because it's very fast. And my favorite thing is I can put it all in code, and so all my manifests, everything, it's very, very easy.
There's so many benefits to it. It's just on that security, instrumentation, control side, we haven't. Yeah,
it's hand wave. Nobody really. I think the only way to fully, truly understand Kubernetes now is if you're basically installing bare metal Kubernetes.
Yeah,
and that is so complex, right? And now that Google's always had, but Amazon has their own now managed Kubernetes services and things like that. It just makes it such a hand wave. Which is good and bad, right? There's so many guides out there that'll tell you how to get Kubernetes up and running, which drives that kind of stuff. But it's tough because there's always going to be adversaries that completely understand. They're going to spend 3 weeks
their time
on Kubernetes, and then they're just going to sit out there and just wait for somebody to leave their API server open and just go to town.
Yeah.
I think I saw there was a hack. I forgot who it was. I think it was TaskRabbit.
Okay.
I don't know that TaskRabbit hacked 2 years ago or a year ago. I'm pretty sure I looked at it and I was like, their Kubernetes server got hacked because the way it was laid out and stuff. I was like, shouldn't have had it listening publicly, but.
Yeah, and most of the tools in that space, you got to get it in there ahead of time, like literally in your build process.
Oh, yeah. I find most of my time I just destroy clusters and rebuild them and make sure that, you start doing it now from the ground up. Because I think they've, since Kubernetes, I think 1.4 or 1.5, what are we at right now? We're at 1.8. I think 1.8's the stable for cops and stuff. But anyway, some of the previous stuff was unsecure, out of the box, and people were just shipping it. Yeah. And so I think now, with 1.5, they started kind of baking in security and things like that, and then some of the other Istio and some of the other routing stuff is
we see a lot of that in databases now and just stuff like that. Just people tossing it up there and
What's crazy, it's so easy also to get logs out of Kubernetes, but managing that and wrangling that is a nightmare unless you're tagging it correctly and things like that.
And then it goes back to that log thing, and and oftentimes, the IT operation and the security operation separated in companies where they have them. So you've got dev and IT over here doing whatever, and then it's like an afterthought to tell anybody in security.
Yeah. Oh yeah, guys, we did this.
We see that all the time. Especially with virtual machine spread and stuff like that, where they're just like, oh yeah, we have these 400 other virtual machines we didn't sort of tell you about. And they're like, well,
shadow IT.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it's their mainline stuff. It's just they're not really meshed well, and so and a lot of stuff is meant to be a lot of things that we see are problems are meant to be temporary, but then 2 years later it's still there.
Right, because somebody forgot to turn it off, or some guy uses it now as his main box.
Right, and whoever the person is at audit is I don't know what that was for. I'm not going to shut it down because somebody will yell at me, and so here it is, just running and it's not getting any love. Nobody's patching it. Right. Nobody's got any
still
controls on it. It's just
IP.
Still doing its thing.
Yeah, just racking up hours.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the slash and burn. I'll AMI it, kill it, and if somebody complains, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll spin it back up.
Just turn it back on. Didn't know you were using that, sorry.
Yeah, it's been running for 3 years, so I thought I'd, try to do something.
By the way, we going to need to put that in the mainline security controls,
Anything you're looking forward to today?
Let's see, our big event where we're going to drink and smoke cigars this evening. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Meeting about 100 of my favorite CISO friends and so forth. That'll be a good time. You guys are coming?
Yes. Any big keywords that have stood out to you this event? I don't think we're seeing borderless networks as much.
No, I have my issues with ML and AI.
Well, no, it's all ML and AI. We have the data, so it's just...
It's, exactly.
It's the hand
machines are really running themselves now. I don't really need myself. I don't know that I've seen. I mean, it's weird because usually you do sort of have a theme.
Yeah.
2 years ago, you really saw the start of a lot of automation and SOAR types, and everything was about that, right?
Yeah.
That was the big wave, and then of course people figured out that was hard to do. Really hard to do.
Yeah, especially when some companies don't even have APIs yet or CLIs.
Exactly, and things like that. And I don't know that as I've walked around, I don't know that I've really caught a theme.
I think I'm seeing SIMs now are getting all of these other tools kind of baked into the one thing. So it's it's morphing. I think UEBA is now kind of morphing into SIM.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the automation and stuff is kind of morphing into the SIM. And they just seem to becoming these behemoth programs.
I wish I was seeing a lot more two-factor love out there, but I don't.
Yeah, there's a Duo booth.
Yeah, there's a Duo booth and there's an Okta booth.
YubiKey. YubiKey's over there.
Yeah.
They got those nice new small ones.
Yeah, we just implemented those. Those are awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, I wish there was more of that because I think we know the issues around that.
Yeah.
But it's some of the things that I'd like to see more love for. There isn't as much. But I enjoy Good SIM. I enjoy the fact that there's getting to be more of those companies, so it's pushing the cost, down. There's a lot more cloud-based solutions for that. And I think that anything we can do to make that easier to implement and easier for people to get. I mean, that's,
Yeah, and manage.
If you just have logs, I don't even care if you look at them. Never look at your logs. Just have them.
Yep.
So when we have a bad day, some SIM guys are going to come talk to me and be like, "You got to look at your log." I get it. I'm just.
Yeah, I can set up out-of-the-box alerts. You should be doing
exactly.
that for me. The pre-built Kibana dashboard will get me 90% of the way there.
Have 90 or 120 days for me, man. That'd be great.
That's a lot, though.
I know. Well, depending on the size of your network, it's obviously a lot. But I hate that situation where you go, hey, we have no idea who logged in at 10 a.m. this morning. I'm like, really? I feel like we should know that.
Yeah, it's an easy log. It's a very common log. I think FileBeat tracks that log out of the box, like just straight up. You just installed FileBeat, like it's already shipping it.
Done.
Like done.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to know where the log is because the file already told you.
But there is a lot more like new vendors I've seen this time, in that space. So hopefully that's going to mean, the market's going to catch on to that and we'll start to implement. We'll see.
All right, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.